Ah, hi, everybody. Um, so last week we started the conversation about zeal and enthusiasm, or the fire of enthusiasm that's within us, the God source that's within us, and I want to continue that, but put it in the context of so what can we do when we're not feeling that way? How can we actually bring ourselves to that place where the spirit, the fire within, the flame that we each have can be ignited, and we can uh, step into the world and be the light that we are. Does anybody ever feel like they're not the light? Ever have those days? Yeah. Yeah, I shared last week a little bit of a story around that, how quickly it can just come up on us, right? We can all of a sudden just feel somebody could say something, you could see an event happen, you can read something in the news, whatever it is, and you can all of a sudden go into the world of micro processing everything in the world and doubting yourself, and then take yourself down this path of not feeling alive, not feeling enlivened. And so this idea of Thanksgiving today is a great reminder for us that we can actually shift things. So I've come to believe, well, maybe believe isn't the right word. I don't really like the word believe so much. I've come to think much more that it's really hard to be unhappy, or to be angry, or to feel less than something if you're in a place of gratitude. Like, it's really difficult for those two things to live together at the same time. And so whenever we're feeling less than, whenever we're feeling like we've got a point to push, or we need to be right, anybody ever feel like they need to be right? Just not nobody here, of course. Oh, my wife is like jumping. uh, we can take a step back and we can invite gratitude. I noticed Sylvia changed the words to "thank you for this rain that we're having," right? It would be very easy to think, like, for example, just even this morning, I was putting on, by the way, it's Thanksgiving, so I brought out the Hugo Boss suit this morning just for Thanksgiving today. It's like the toga, the really classic toga from the Roman times. It's now the Hugo Boss, is that. Um, but I was thinking I wanted to ride my motorcycle this morning to service. And it's, how could I do that in my suit when it's raining? And so right there, I could be like, darn rain, right? And instead, I was like, well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to look good today. So we'll just go with that as being, I'm grateful. I've got this suit. I'm going to wear it. I'm not going to change things up, and I'll drive the pickup truck to service today instead of the motorcycle. And then that was gone. Like, that whole feeling of the rain and not being able to live that was absolutely erased from my mind, and I was able to just move forward with that decision and that choice. And it can be that easy for us, right? We can actually very quickly turn on a dime and reframe the very place that we're sitting in. And it's really up to us, isn't it? Like, we don't need to wait for somebody else. We don't have to look to somebody else to do that. It's great that we might have that. It's always grateful to, phone a friend. Speaking of which, I'm gonna do one of those squirrel moments, honey. So brace yourself. Does anybody remember that TV show of what was it? Game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Right? Yeah, and then you would get a chance to phone a friend. Have you ever seen the episode where this young man has gone all the way to the end, and he's right there? He's on the last question, and he still has his phone a friend left. And he says to, I think is it Richard Dawson that was the host of that? Regis Philbin, thank you. Regis Philbin was the host. And Regis is like, so do you know the answer? And he's like, Regis, I'd like to use my phone a friend right now. It's like, okay, you're going to use the phone a friend. And he gets on the phone and he calls, asks him who he's going to call. I'm going to call my dad. Right. So he calls his dad and his dad gets on the phone. He's like, Dad, I'm on the show, as you know, and this is, I have this opportunity to phone a friend. I just want you to know, I already know the answer and I don't need to phone you. I'm going to win the $1 million, but I just wanted to call you first and let you know. Right. So I was just like, that's so awesome. Right. What it's just like, I don't actually need this phone call. I know what it is, but I want to call my dad and let him know I'm winning the $1 million. Right. So but you see, that's what we can do in our lives, right? We can be that kind of person where we open up ourselves to opportunities and possibilities and share that light and switch things on a dime. So you could think of gratitude as the fuel for sacred fire. Gratitude is that ability to do this. And so on this Thanksgiving, and I was down in the States this week and letting people know that we have Thanksgiving this weekend, to which surprises me how many, well, it doesn't really surprise me. Nobody down there knows that. But, so they're like interested in that. But today in this Thanksgiving, we have this opportunity to be extra grateful today, don't we? But do we really need to wait till Thanksgiving to be grateful? Yeah, we can be grateful every day. And I challenge you that if you're ever feeling not up to snuff, not, living the best life possible, phone somebody and let them know how much you appreciate them. I guarantee when you finish that phone call, you will be in a different space because they will share energy back with you that you can then fuel yourself with as well. You will raise your vibration up by doing that. So trust me, just check it out. Anytime you're not feeling great, get out of the me story. Anybody? No, I'm not the only one. Good. Get out of the me story and reach out to somebody and let them know how much you appreciate them in your life. And that will flip all of that right around. Now, 30 minutes later, you might have to make another call to somebody else. I'm not promising it's going to last your lifetime. However, being in that practice will allow you to change things up for yourself. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I don't want to live in that place of being unhappy with my life. Is there anybody that feels that way? Like, I just don't want to be there. So any tool that I can grab onto that will allow me to change that up, I'm game for, right? I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'll do that then. So there is this quote or scripture in 2 Timothy. It says, stir up the gift of God which is within you. So we need to stir that up. That's what we're being told, that we have to be that fire. We can't be looking for others to do it for us. Is there anybody here that has lived that, relying on other people to be something they're not in order to raise you up? Yeah, it just doesn't work. We need to be that source for ourselves. And so how can we do that? Well, love, need I say more? Right? Love unconditionally. What if we gave the same unconditional love we would afford our children or our closest people in our lives? What if we actually gave that out to everybody? What if we were that stand in the world? That we would be that, not just for the ones that we think are worthy of it, not just the ones that we want to play favorites with, but actually everybody, even those that oppose everything you stand for. because that's what it's going to take to have a world that works for everybody. There is no us versus them. And if you ever find yourself trapped in that place of us versus them or me versus that thing, you know right off the bat, this is not the place to be. This is not going to get me the life I want to live. Because you'll constantly be in that place of comparing and angry with and upset with. And what's the rule of quantum physics? You know, what we perceive is what we attract, right? What we focus our attention on, we're going to see more of it. It's like, you know this one. When you buy the new car, how many do you now see of the same car, right? They didn't all just come to Nanaimo or wherever it is you're located that weekend. They didn't. They were always there. But now you're tuned into it. So now you're seeing it everywhere. Well, it's the same when we live in a place of anger or we live in a place of calling people out or making things wrong. Then we just attract and see more of that. So if you don't want that, then stop. Does anybody here watch the news every day? Yeah, I don't. I don't watch the news. I've been called out on it by a few people in my life who think I should watch the news. And I'm like, why? What's the point of that? There's just some agenda going on there, isn't there? Doesn't it feel like that? There's an agenda that's being portrayed to lure me in so that I'll buy that car that I don't really want. Because that's really what they want, right? Isn't it commercialism? Let's get you focused in on the TV so you just want to consume and consume. So just don't play that game. Thing we need to think about and understand is that we are all ministers. All of us, each one of us is ministering to somebody in some capacity. And so how do you want that to look? What is the example that you want to be for somebody else? And then stand in that truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So last week I shared with you that I had doubts about whether I was, in the right place. And so this past week, from Monday till Friday, I was in Unity Village for the annual New Thought Network. The affiliated New Thought Network, which is all New Thought. So it's ministers and leaders from Science of Mind Ministries, from Centers for Spiritual Living, people graduating from the Emerson Institute, getting their doctorates in their ministry. And Martha Creek was there. She's a big part of that Anton celebration. And so I chose to go this year and learn. I really went there in the place of not I have something to share, but actually what can I learn from people that aren't just in Unity, but in other facets of New Thought. And it was great. And there was also an opportunity, and maybe Marie, that video that I asked, that I said might come up. Has anybody here been to Unity Village? Okay, a few people. Has anybody here that's been to Unity Village, have you been to the Silent Unity Chapel? Okay, so, and I've been to the Silent Unity Chapel. So this is, if you watch your screens, this is what the Silent Unity Chapel actually looks like. Not this blue part, but the doors are like this, and every 30 minutes, they open the doors, and you can go in for 30 minutes of silence, and the people that were in there come out. And that's exactly what you see. That frame right there is you sit in a chair, very comfortable chair. There's 8 or 10 of them, I forget how many there is, and you have 30 minutes of silence with whoever else is in the room. And I did it 3 of the mornings that I was at Unity. And the Wednesday, I was back in that place of, am I really supposed to be doing this? Is this really what I'm meant to do with my life? Now, you may remember, some of you, that when I went for ministry to be accepted into the ministry program, I went to Unity Village, and I thought on the Sunday I would go to service at the Unity Chapel and ask the same question. Is this mine? Am I really supposed to be a minister? And for those that remember, the guest minister that was speaking got up and announced that she was going to do her talk on the Gospel of Thomas, which was like, oh, I guess that's my sign, because I've been to church many, many times and nobody has ever spoken from the Gospel of Thomas before. Was the first. So Leslie and I were actually texting, and I was crying, and I'm not sure if she was, but we were just laughing about the whole thing. That isn't that hilarious that that's what it was. So on Wednesday morning, I go to the Silent Unity Chapel, and I'm in this place, having spent a few days with people, hearing what they're doing and what they're up to, and the different new thought avenues that you can go. And I was in that place of, am I really supposed to be at Unity on Vancouver? Like, what am I doing with my life? And I sit down in the chair. Now, this is the second day I've been in there, and I didn't notice the first day that there were plaques on the very bottom rung of the chair in front of you. But that morning, I sat down, I sit in the chair, I decide to sit cross-legged, I bring my legs up, I look down, and there's a plaque. And it's the chair is in memory of, and I forget their first names, I apologize. And it was given by Martha Creek, but it says, in memory of Reverend Richard and Diane Thomas. I know we can make meaning out of anything, right? Because we're meaning making machines. I get that. But come on. Yeah, like the day before I sat on the other side of the room, there was only two other people. I could have been in any chair, and I chose to go to that chair and see the plaque in front of me. And so I kind of chuckled, even though we're supposed to be silent. I kind of chuckled a little and just went, okay, all right, I'm done asking that question for now. I'm good. But that's what's possible, right? We can sit in the silence. We can ask these questions, and we can find the answers if we're willing to pay attention to what's going on around us. We don't need anybody else to tell us what to do if we're willing to go in that real deep, loving, open heart and say, hey, what is there for me to do? What is mine to do in this moment? Yeah? You all feeling that? Yeah. So I like to think of course, I was grateful in that moment. I was super grateful for that. And I like to think of gratitude as the oil that feeds the flame, right? That's how we replenish that flame within us, is by having those moments of gratitude, by sitting in the question at times with a grateful heart. You know, I was grateful to be in that space and have that opportunity to actually sit in the silence. And if anybody here is ever thinking of going to Unity Village, I highly encourage you to do it. There is some places there that are truly, truly sacred places to sit in and be in the silence. They also have another place called the Peace Chapel, which is very similar to the Silent Unity Chapel. And you can go in there. That's open 24 hours. You can go in and sit in there anytime and just be in the silence of prayer and feel that energy within you. So there's another part of this, and it's boundaries, right? We need boundaries in our life as sacred stewardship. So boundaries is what allows us, and it's not coming from a place of, oh, I got to keep things away. It's more coming from a place of, I need to be in the space I need to be in to live my life. I need to put up a way of me having the opportunity to go to something like Unity Village and sit in prayer, right? One of the things I heard throughout all of ministerial school was self-care, was taking the time for self-care. And I know many stories of ministers that have burnt right out. They've just completely burnt out because they're not taking the time to do that. Anybody here practice self-care? Yeah. Yeah, I heard somebody say not as much as I should. Right. And that's what boundaries are for, is to put up that no, I'm not doing this. That's actually, no, I'm not going to do that right now. And we don't have to do it with anger. We can do it very, very nicely. So again, I'm at Unity Village this week, and I had a roommate who I'd never met before, who wanted to share a hotel room, share the cost of that. And I promised the board I would share the cost with somebody if possible. So I did that, and he was from Ontario, and he came up to me on, I want to say Thursday, and he said, "Oh, I noticed in your signature that you had written a book and you published it." And I was like, "Yep, that's right." And he said, I've asked a few other people, but nobody seems to want to. I'm wondering, could you help me out with that?" And I'm the kind of person that I'm like, I'll help people. If there's something I can do that I've done before that I think I have a path through it, I will help them out. I've painted people's homes in the past because I know how to paint, because I did it professionally for years. So I'm just that kind of guy. I'll give and give and give unless I can't. And I looked at him and it's like, I published a book 9 years ago on Amazon, self-published. I don't even remember what the first step is to doing that. And so I just, graciously looked at him and said, "Well, thank you so much for considering me, but I'm not your guy." Like, I would have to watch YouTube videos on how to self-publish in order to sit down with you and help you self-publish. Like, I just don't even know what to do. And he's like, "Well, it's not that long ago that you did it." And I'm like, "It was 9 years ago. Do you know how much technology has changed in 9 years?" And then as he sat with that, he was like, "Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah, you're right, actually. I could probably do this myself." Exactly. You don't need me to do it. And I'm not going to do it. Like, I was a hard no. There is no chance that I am dedicating time to help you publish a book when I don't even know how to publish a book right now. But that's right. That's what we need to do for ourselves. And we can do it in a way where we're grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not the best for this. You might want to try something else that will better serve you. Instead of us dragging ourselves into something, right? Like, all I've done for these people, right? That feeling, when you get that way, like, no, we don't want to live in that place. So boundaries allow us the ability to serve that sacred space within us as well, to keep that fire kindled and alive. Had to do it with my kids at times, right? No, I'm actually not cooking you breakfast. Not doing it. You'll starve, I guess. But you know what I mean. So self-care is also part of our Thanksgiving practice, of our gratitude practice. It's actually taking care of ourselves. And we can give thanks to those that think we might be able to support them, but direct them nicely. As Unity would say to a minister that's not really qualified in their mind to be a minister, kindly redirect them. I like that word. Just give them some redirection. All right. Instead of a meditation today, I would like to do something that Sylvia and I have sort of worked on. It's going to be more song, and it's for all of us. Anybody here familiar with Ricky Byers? Ricky Byers Beckwith, as she used to be known, but Ricky Byers. So she used to be at the Beckwith Agape, or the Agape Center, as the musical director, and they have this Agape chant, as they called it. Love, thank you. What's the? I love myself so much. I Love Myself So Much, thank you, is the song. And I experienced this at Unity Village where they sang it and everybody was singing it and everybody was singing it to one another. And the words are really simple. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. And we're just going to sing that together as our meditation. And if you want, you can stand and you can smile if you'd like. You could be happy about it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, you gonna drum with me?
I am. I'm not going to sing loud though, because that might hurt people.
I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. Sing it to your neighbor. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much,